Hello and welcome to another new video session here at NAV SEAL. I'm delighted to see you again. I thought today I wanted to share some information about shipments and how you can undo shipments. You know, from time to time it happens that we ship by mistake some items, maybe should have been another item, but really comes down to the fact that we did ship something that we really didn't want to do. So let's try and have a look at it and let's jump right into it. Now, I'm in the demo database here and I'm just gonna create a sales order. So let's create a new one for, let's take a datum. Let's see if we can find one in here. It's not really fast today. So here we go, a datum corporation. That's Robert. So let's find, I think we have one in here. Atlanta whiteboard base. That sounds good. Let's use our main location and let's put 10 in of that. And let's take another one. Let's take this one, the Paris guest chair. And we're gonna use the same location for that. And let's take 5. Okay, so this is a normal sales order. Nothing mysterious about this. Very standard, very basic. As you can see on the line, we have 10 we can ship, we have 5 we can ship. I'm just gonna take 2 of that and 1 of that. So this is a partial shipment, you could say. So let's try and go to post. Let's post, let's just ship it. Like that. Quick, easy. You can see down here we have ship 2 and we have ship 1. So let's have a look at the posted shipment. Here we go. We have a posted shipment with 2 lines on it. Now I realize that that was wrong. I shouldn't have shipped the Atlanta one, or maybe I shouldn't have shipped both. So one way to do that is you can kind of carry on invoicing it for 0. You can make credit memos and so on. But lucky us, there is an option to undo shipments. You see here down on the functions on the lines, there's an option called undo shipment. What you have to do is you have to select the line or the lines just like that. You see you can select both if you want to do that, and then you can select undo shipment, or you can just select the one, the top one for example, and select undo shipment. One thing to keep in mind is that when you select undo shipment, you undo the total quantity. There's not really an option to say, no, it should only be 1 instead of 2. That's not an option. You have to undo the total shipment. But remember, you don't have to undo all the lines. You can just undo 1 or whatever lines you want to undo on here. Now, I'm going to select both lines in here. I'm going to select undo shipment, and it's very polite. It's going to prompt me and said, do you really want to do that? Do you want to undo this or those selected shipment lines? Those are the 2 I have highlighted. So I'm going to say yes. It's going to post that, and you can see immediately there's a new line in here and there's a new line down here, -2 and -1. So that means behind the scenes, just like posting, it will actually create a transaction in the item ledger entry that will offset this shipment of the 2 and put in a -2 shipment, you could say. You're actually putting it back into inventory, basically. So now let's just take the example. If I try to do this again and I highlight the top one and I try to do undo shipment, select yes, it knows that it has been undone already, so you cannot undo it again. So that's kind of the system keeping track of that, so you don't by mistake undo it twice. So that's not a possibility. So let's try and go back to our sales order, and you can see on the lines down here, we see quantity to ship is back to 10 and 5. Basically that means we are back to our starting point. So that was one way to undo the shipment. Now let's try something else. Let's try and do this again. But this time when I post it, I'm gonna ship an invoice. Okay, let's try and do that. Just like before, it's gonna ship it and it's gonna invoice it, and we can see it shows here on the line we have ship 2, we have ship 1, but we have also invoice 2 and 1. So let's try and have a look at our shipments. So this is our second shipment, of course. So let's look at the top one, the 219. So we can see here, just like before, we have 2, we have 1, but it also shows that it has been invoiced 2 and 1. So if I try to do like I did before, undo the shipment like that, it will tell me that it has been invoiced. And that's the limitation here. Once you have invoiced the line, you cannot undo the shipment. You kind of have to take it all the way, meaning you have to create a credit memo for it if you want to do that, and then you can create a new order and ship it again if that's what you want to do. But the only way to kind of undo this is to make a credit memo because this has been invoiced. Now, heads up. I know, so the first scenario we made, we only shipped it, we didn't invoice it. If that item have already been used, it's been sold, for example, or it's been used for something else, you cannot undo it again. So it means it has to be open, that transaction. Okay, let's try and go back. This was a simple scenario. We didn't use any warehouse documents. So let's try and use another location. And what do I mean by that? In this setup, I use the main location. The main location doesn't have any warehouse settings that requires bins or put-aways or anything. It's a very basic location that doesn't require any warehouse handling. Now, let's try and create a new sales order that will illustrate what it looks like if we did have another location that would use warehouse documents. Okay, so I create a new sales order for the same customer, and I'm gonna use the same item, but I'm gonna use my yellow warehouse. And let's take the other item as well, dash S, that's my Paris guest chair, and I'm gonna use my yellow, and I'm gonna take 5 just like before. Now, the yellow warehouse requires warehouse transactions. And you can see that one of the ways to see that is that there's nothing to ship in the column called quantity to ship. If I try to put in something in here, it will actually tell me that a warehouse shipment is required if you want to do that. So let's do that. So let's leave that. We're just gonna remove that. So I'm gonna create a warehouse shipment like this. So this is my warehouse shipment. Now I've taken that setup that requires that we have a pick document as well, just to show you all the steps if you run with shipments and you use warehouse picks. So let's try and take that scenario. That's why it shows here with an arrow. So let's remove that again. So let's create a pick like that, our pick document. So pick number 2 has been created. So let's see the pick lines down here. We have a document. So here we have a warehouse pick document. We're not going to get into all of the details why and when you use warehouse documents, but this could be one of the scenarios as well where you had a warehouse pick. And for this scenario, I'm just going to take, you might have noticed that when we created the sales order, I created for 10 and 5 respectively for each of the 2 items. Now I'm just going to handle 2 and 1 on this document, and I'm going to register my pick, meaning someone went into the warehouse, they went to the bin, they found the items, they put it into the cradle, and they went to the shipping area with whatever they picked in there. Now I'm not going to use the rest, so I'm just going to delete the remaining pick, and we are back to our warehouse shipment document. Now you can see here we have 2 to ship and we have 1 to ship. That's because that is what has been picked. So right now, just imagine you have the warehouse people, they are in the shipping area. They have gathered all the information. So now we're going to ship those 2 items, the Atlanta whiteboard base and the Paris guest chair, to this customer. So out in the warehouse, they are going to post the shipment We're just going to ship it because we don't invoice it from the warehouse. You could, but we're not going to do that here. So we're going to ship. And the document has completed, and we have ship 2 and we have ship 1. We don't need the warehouse shipment anymore. So we're going to, we're going to change it to reopen it. And then we're just going to delete the warehouse shipment. Okay, so now we are back to the sales order. As you can see, we finally ended up with the same scenario. Quantities shipped 2 and quantities shipped 1, just like we had it before. There's a few more steps in here because we are using warehouses and warehouse documents. But basically now we have the same scenario. We want to look at the shipment. We want to look at the posted shipment, and you can see here we have ship 2 and 1. We haven't invoiced anything. Good. So let's try and do the same as we did before with the main location for the yellow location. So let's try and undo the shipment. It's going to prompt us again. Perfect. So you can see here, because we have picked the items, we have picked them from the bin in the warehouse, and we have taken those items to the shipping area. So what the system is telling us is that, okay, if you want to undo this, that's fine, we can do that, but keep in mind that we're not going to move those items from the shipping area back to the bin. If I accept that, it will continue like that for both lines. And you can see we have the same result, -2 and -1. And if I go back to my sales order, you can see there's nothing shipped. We are back to square one, you could say, because we have undone those shipments. So just keep in mind, if you do run with warehouses, what we have done now is that we have undone those shipments. The only difference now is that those items that has been picked are actually in the shipping area right now. So you have to ask some of the warehouse staff to make a move from the ship area and move it into the bins where it actually was from the beginning of. That's kind of the difference between the two different scenarios when we undo shipments that require warehouses, warehouse documents, and the ones that does not. So I hope this information will help you in your daily work. But as always, keep tuned, stay tuned with our video channel. We are more than helpful, or we want to be helpful to you and help you. So reach out if you need any help. Really nice to see you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching this video from NAV SEAL. Check out more right here. NAV SEAL offer assistance and counsel on any existing solution. So if you're in need of assistance, don't hesitate to contact us on navseal.com or LinkedIn. Consider leaving a like and subscribe for more tips, news, and guides to anything Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central.